Hello, this is Craig Mertens, Director of Product Education for Inktavo, the parent company of InkSoft, Graphics Flow, Printavo, and now SignTracker. And by the way, we're international now, so we now acquired a company in the UK called Clarity, which is a very robust sign-making shop management platform. So really looking forward to being able to work with our UK team. So the purpose of the webinar today is to introduce the new store templates feature. And, it's something I think when I first started working within the InkSoft platform, I was like, hey, where are the store templates? Because I'm used to working in, kind of the platforms that I worked with were Shopify and GoDaddy. And so I was looking for the store templates, and it kind of dawned on me, you have to create your first store template. One of the things I really appreciate about InkSoft is that the actual process of creating an online store is very streamlined and very quick, and it is built upon components. It's quite easy to assemble a store. Having stock store templates to start with would be a big start and a real huge help to somebody that was new to the platform because you had a starting place. And so on our roadmap for 2024, we built out a very robust plan for store templates, and we introduced that about a month ago. And so you guys are going to get an opportunity to really get a sense of understanding of why we did this, how we did it, and how it's going to benefit your business, because it's going to be even easier to deploy your stores now with store templates. Currently, I am in the InkSoft Dashboard, and I want to review the dashboard just a little bit. And I think a lot of times people kind of glaze past the dashboard, but there's some actual pretty important things in here that pertain to just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on in your account. And the one thing you're going to notice right here is pending stores. So these are stores that are in various stages of being set up through the new store wizard. So what does this actually mean? It means whoever was setting up these stores was doing them from scratch, just hitting new store and going through the wizard, and dropped out at some point. And it also means they were not using store cloning, because all of this would have been bypassed if they hit a clone to store. And they're also not using new store templates, because this would never even show up, because the store is literally built. You don't have to go through that step-by-step process. Also, as we scroll down through the dashboard, you'll notice that these are all the open stores that are showing. And this open stores, if you go to your stores function in InkSoft, they're going to automatically default to being viewed by first store in. But I've got my stores sorted, so they're actually not being sorted by date that they were created. They're being sorted by alphabetical, it's just easier for me to locate a store. So a couple different ways to create that new store. I think the most obvious one is if you're on the dashboard, just to go over here and click on Create New Store. I think that's the obvious one. But also, if you do migrate over to stores, you could go over here, go to the stores dropdown, click Create New. That's one way. And then the other way is if you're in InkSoft Core, which I always like to kind of stay streamlined with InkSoft Core, and it's right over here in the navigation. So if I just scroll down, I have access to all the tools in InkSoft, including stores. So as we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and turn my webcam off, and then you guys can see the full screen. Again, as we're sorting and I go into stores, the default store sorting is going to be by first store that was created, which happens to be the Circus Print Shop. But if you just go over to store name and just click the up arrow, you'll notice now it says Blue Shirt Printing. And this is our main store. So in InkSoft, I think most people are familiar with this. Is in InkSoft, it can be your website. It can be your entire website. You can build your entire website around InkSoft. It can be your main homepage. InkSoft has a very powerful, ability to build out homepages and websites. But on the other hand, you're going to have sub stores as well that operate as their own businesses. So you'll notice all these other stores in here. These operate as their own businesses. They have their own domains. They have their own settings. They have their own contact people. They have their own pricing. They have their own library of curated products. They have different rules, different artwork in the designer. Every store is operating as its own entity, but the Blue Shirt Printing store is my main store that represents the business that we're using in this particular demo account. And you'll also notice there's a flag here that says main store, and there's also a flag here that says P. What does the P flag mean? The P flag means that this store is linked to Printavo. And so every order that comes into this store, whether it's through a proposal, then you're just generating a quote or an invoice, comes through an online sale from somebody just clicking on a product and ordering it, or it comes into the store from somebody self-servicing and creating a design with the InkSoft Designer. That is all being funneled straight into Printavo. These orders are being collated in Printavo, being scheduled as jobs, being run through an automated production cycle. And then when the production is completed, we're marking that job as completed in Printavo, and then it's passing that order back into InkSoft. So it's a complete full circle, so to speak. So the main store that we're using right here is linked to Printavo, and we certainly use that for demoing. I'm going to go ahead and turn off auto hide my taskbar here. So let's go into taskbar settings and set it to auto hide. There we go. Excellent. And that's what editing's for. And what I'm going to do next is we're going to initiate a new store. But I want to talk about something before we do that, because we've had store cloning in InkSoft for over a year. And honestly, it's one of the very best features in the InkSoft platform that people don't use. And the reason they don't use it, it's kind of buried. You know, if I go over here and I wanted to take this store and clone it, and I click on the little 3 dots over here and click on Clone Store, what would happen is the store would be copied, the entire formatting of the store, the logos, the look, the components that are in the store would be copied. But there's also this option right here. It says Include Products and Store Art. And if I click that on, the product catalog from that store will come over. It doesn't mean those products are displayed in the store, but they're in the catalog for that store. And also the art would come over. Why would I want the art to come over? Is because I can globally swap it out. So I can say all the shirts that have this left chest embroidery that says Central Boosters, I want to change all of those shirts globally to left chest embroidery that say East Eagles. And by the way, if that embroidered design was used on a hat as well, it would swap out on the hat. So that's a very powerful feature that's been in InkSoft for over a year that people don't use because there's not a lot of visibility on it. We use an internal tool at InkSoft to track usage, to see what features people are using, how they're using them, how often they're using them, generally just metrics around store usage. And so when we introduced the new user interface about a month ago for store templates, we saw a massive increase in the amount of people that were using cloning. And cloning has now become the number one way that people initiate stores in InkSoft, which is super impressive, and it's what we want. So I'm going to go over here and click on Plus Store, and this is the new UI for initiating a store. You can still start a store from scratch. So if you just want to start from scratch and click on Get Started and go through a step-by-step process where you're naming the store, you're creating a URL. And bear in mind, we're not stuck with this URL. We can go in once the store is created and redirect this store to a domain. So we handle all that, including the SSL certificates. So if you already have a domain set up and you want to just say, send this store over to /merch, you can do that. But this is a step-by-step process. So you would go in here and step-by-step, name it, set your privacy settings up, contact information, store branding, everything all the way down to the level of enabling the designer, putting custom notifications in there. So in the old way of doing things, you could, in theory, just do this once and then clone every subsequent store. And then as the store needs to be localized, you could go into the store admin settings and then just make tweaks as needed. So this is a feature that I just never use. I don't use it at all because I've got templates set up for all of my stores that I use as starting points. And those templates are kind of organized by corporate stores, by school stores, fundraising stores, all that. So I customized my own stores doing this, and I use store cloning. But guess what? We've done all that work for you. So yes, you can clone a store, but you have templates now. And these templates are organized by what I would call vertical market or categories. So for instance, there's 3 layouts here that are set up for sports and team stores. What makes them sports and team stores is really more about the banners, maybe possibly the color schemes. They're just set up with, oftentimes, like you'll have a fundraising component built in there, which is a common thing you'd see with a sport or team store. You'll also notice school and education stores a little bit different. And this is a store that people would commonly use for selling school uniforms. Or if you have a little fundraising program you're doing at the school, you can do that. Scrolling down here, corporate and retail stores. So if you're doing a branded store for a local corporation or a brew pub or the dental office or just a quickie little store that you're going to pop up for, a campaign, maybe the corporation's doing a an employee, giveaway where every employee gets XYZ amount of money and they upload gift certificates into InkSoft and they can go to the store to select their sizes and product. This would be a pretty good example of a corporate store. And then special event store. So you're running an event, a shop landing page. So the shop landing page would be like that main store template. So that's set up to be, truly a main store. So if you just need that great starting point. And what you can do is if I click on one of these templates, we're going to click on it. I'll click on this template right here. I can see a preview. So if I want to see like kind of the full navigation of that store, I can do that just by clicking on View Demo right here. And it's just going to go to kind of a dummy version of that store so we can see what that preview is going to look like. And I'm actually in that store template right now. So, I can navigate around and see, there's no products in here, but I can navigate around in here and see how this is set up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and we're actually going to use this template. We're going to set up a store. So let's go over here and I'm going to set up an East Eagles booster store. So we'll call this store East Eagles 2025. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a domain and put a couple underscores in here because we can't have spaces in a URL. And again, I can go and redirect this page or this store to my own domain if I want, like for instance, easteagles.org/merch. Could do that. But to create the store, really all I have to do is click on Create Store. So I'm building a store from a template. It's quite quick. I'm going to click on View My Store here. And here's my store. This is my starting point. Now, a couple really important things while we're here. All these graphics, the banner, everything, this is all placeholder. And so there's no requirement to use this banner. There's no requirement really to use anything other than the general layout. You'll notice also, we have the fonts in here, all the navigation in here. So really the first step once you go in and use the store template really is going into store admin and customizing it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here into store admin and then I'm going to take a look and see what's going on. So number one, we notice that we don't have any active products in the store. I can click on add product and we can go in and search through all the products that we have and add them if we want to, but I'm probably not going to do it that way one at a time. I'm probably going to do it in bulk and I can show you how to do that. And we don't have any art in here. So first thing I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a bunch of art. So I'm just going to go over here to upload art files and I'm going to upload some embroidery files and I'm also going to upload some print files. And it's a great place to really talk about file formats. One of the complaints that people will have when it's true of any web-based e-commerce software is sometimes the graphics can look a little pixelated. And that's going to be a result of the resolution of the graphic that you're uploading. That's going to be one of the byproducts of that. And also the way the graphics composed. So in order for something to be to be recognizably pixelated in terms of like the graphic file put on a mock-up, if it has like a shape like a V or a W where you have angles, that's where you're really going to notice that pixelation. If there's a lot of rounded and abstract shapes or straight vertical or horizontal lines, you're not going to see it in there. In InkSoft, if you upload a PNG or a JPEG file as your graphic, there can potentially be issues, just like any other web browser, of being able to view some of that pixelation in the file. It's not super noticeable, but the way you can get around that is by using vector-based files. And the vector-based format of choice that I would recommend in your store would be PDF. Probably my secondary choice would be SVG. I'm a little sensitive about SVG files because they can be version sensitive. And what that means is depending upon what program you create them in, they can have kind of little different settings. And they can sometimes, things can drop out or colors come in like white. You have white in the graphic and it comes in, it's black. That's really a result of just some of the quirky nuances of an SVG file. Whereas a PDF file comes in to pretty much any graphics-based application. And InkSoft is a graphics app. It's going to come in the same way you see it if you just open the PDF in your PDF viewing software. So PDF really should be your preferred format. And just about any vector-based program like CorelDRAW or Illustrator, or if you're using the vector-based files in like Canva, they're going to come in just fine. If you're using Canva and you're kind of accustomed to saving as a PNG file, if given the option, it depends on the type of art you're working with, If you're given the option of saving an SVG, I would certainly recommend doing that because you get to bypass that pixelation. And let me explain why that is here. So we'll just pick these files and I open it. What's happening with InkSoft right now is it's parsing the vector data out of these files and it's mapping that data to the color palette in InkSoft. So what is that allowing me to do? Colorways. Because it knows my colors, I can go in here and change the colors in the graphic because it's parsing those colors out. It's not able to do that with the PNG or a bitmap file. And because PNG and bitmap files are not composed of lines and objects like vector files, they're composed of pixels. And that's partly why you'll see some of that stair-stepping or jagged edges. But when we are populating this artwork onto a product, we're doing it in vector because it's being converted to an SVG file, and SVG files are a native image format in a web browser. So it's actually displaying the vector art. So you're not going to see pixelation. It's going to look really great. So always PDF. If you have options for PDF, always choose PDF. Now, there's a caveat to that. And the caveat is if the artwork is PNG or bitmap already, when it comes into InkSoft, it's just going to be a PDF with an embedded bitmap. So it's not going to convert to vector just because you're saving in a PDF file out of your program. So just so that you should be aware of that. So we're just going to hit done here. And then I'm going to go ahead and upload just one embroidery file. So we'll just go over here and upload an embroidery file. In this case, I'm going to upload a DST embroidery file, this simple DST file right here. Click on open. When I open a DST file in InkSoft, what's going to happen is it's going to prompt me to select colors. And why is it prompting me to select colors? The DST format is a universally accepted format for just about any embroidery program. It'll run embroidery machines. Just about any machine will run a DST file. It's also a very primitive file format, meaning it doesn't carry color data. What it carries is needle positions and color changes. So the way this file was actually digitized, these are all the needle positions and color changes for that particular embroidery file as it was created in its embroidery software. And in this case, it was a program called Drawings, but it could be Brother PES software, it could be Wilcom, could be Pulse, could be any embroidery software. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to type in gold and we're going to find that true athletic gold right there. And then let's see here. This one's obviously going to be gold here too. So let's combine that. And so do you see how it's creating that preview for me? And then over here on this area right here, I think that's going to be the white. So let's go and just use this snow white right here. There's an accent border here. So this one I'm going to use kind of just a little bit different color, maybe a little bit more of a light gray or a pale gray. So all I'm doing is creating that visualization right now so I can kind of see what it's going to look like. Yeah, it looks good. And then over here, we'll make this navy. So I'm just going to type in navy and I could use a different palette or I could mix palettes, maybe Acronym Isochord. So go over here and I'll just type in navy, see if we get something. Yeah, we do. Royal navy looking good. Yeah, it looks fantastic. So hit upload. So this is how you're going to get your artwork into your template. You're just going to get it in just like this. And there's a really cool byproduct of doing it this way is because once you get this artwork placed on the product, if you use this store to clone it, you can globally art swap these files from East Eagles back to maybe Central Boosters. We're actually going to do that. So we got some art in here. We don't have any products in here. We're going to go add some products in a little bit. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go over here to store settings right here. And this is where I can just go through and make any changes. So contact information, this is Bob Johnson. Bob is not going to be the contact person. Mary Lewis is going to be the contact person right there. And update all the contact information. So we know the contact information, address, and all that is going to change. I'm not going to display the address on the storefront. So that's a good example of a setting we want to switch. But a better example of a setting we want to switch is store branding, because right now this store is branded as a fraternity and athletic store. And so what we want to do is replace that. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to replace this store logo right here with a new store logo. So the new store logo is going to be this pennant design right here. I'm using a PNG file. If we're doing from my experience, the best results in terms of being able to have like the right image placement and location for these graphics typically is PNG. I know that's counterproductive to what I said about SVG files earlier, but when it comes to like the web banners, I've had the best results with PNG files as far as getting them to place in the right places and all that. So we've got our store logo is in there, and then store icon. What is the store icon? The store icon is what's going to show up in the little tab in your browser. So if you have the browser tab up, and it's going to show a little preview of that store, that's where that logo is coming from. And what is the store preview image? If you're posting a link to this store in an app, for instance, if I post this into our Slack channel, the preview image is what's going to display in the Slack channel or in Facebook or Instagram anytime I put a link in there. And so what best practice is, when you're all done with your store, take a screen grab of it, save it as 1600 by 1900 pixels so it's in the right dimensions, and then just come in and upload it. And in this particular case, I've already done that. So we'll go ahead and click on OK. And we've got our branding done. And want to click on Save and Publish. If I want to go in and change like store notifications, for instance, change this email back to Mary's email where she gets notified at the end of the day, we can do that. Or maybe internally, I want to be notified if there's orders coming in. One of the great parts of your day should be when you're getting that order report. So it's probably going to be your email that you're going to put in there. I don't think you necessarily want to send that to the customer, but you could. Any kind of store policies you want to edit. If you want to make it a private store with a password, here's where you're going to go and update their social media handles for all their accounts. Display manufacturer, nope, because I want to have flexibility to change that. If I can't get that shirt from Gildan, I need to get it from Fruit of the Loom. I want to have the flexibility. They don't need to see my SKU, so we're going to turn that. We're not having inventory stayed in this store, so we're not having it count down against inventory that I've entered into InkSoft. So it's counting down from the 100 I put in, telling the customer, yep, we're out of stock. So I'm not enforcing that in the store. Store close page. We are going to run the store for a period of time. And so I'm going to set up a close page that will automatically populate when my store expires, because a lot of these stores are going to be temporary stores. But here's a big one, Designer. So if I'm going to enable the InkSoft Designer in a store and I used a store template, one thing I need to do is I do need to select the artwork that I'm going to be utilizing in my designer, whether it's clip art or fonts. And in InkSoft, you can curate your own categories of designs and your own categories of clip art. You can curate those. And then what's neat about that is you can copy them from one store to another. That's what I'm going to do right here. So I'm going to go to the On button here, and I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to go to Add, and I'm going to add all of the art from my main East Booster store. So I have another version of the store. I'm just going to add it all right there, and that's going to go in my designer. And I'm going to go over here to where it says clip art, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I have curated collections of artwork in this other store, and I'm just going to copy that art over. Now, bear in mind, you got to be a little patient because it takes a while. InkSoft's actually copying that art into the store. So that's something that's not necessarily instantaneous. And I'm going to give the user the ability to upload their own art. And I am going to allow them to upload bitmap files, not just vector artwork, but I could restrict this to vector as well. So let's go ahead and save and publish that. And then you can go through all the other different settings and modify these. But I just wanted everyone to be clear that, these stores all operate as their own businesses. And so you have a lot of latitude in terms of modifying these to the specific requirements and needs of that particular store or that particular customer. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go over here to Style Editor. Something I want to point out all of a sudden, this is new. So this logo right here is independent of the branding logo I updated. So where's that branding logo going to be utilized then? If it's not here, where's it going to be used? It's going to be used in your proposals. So if you're using this store and you're linking a proposal to this store, that branding logo that we uploaded is going to be utilized within that proposal. It's the branding for that proposal. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on Edit, and I'm going to point out a new change. What we did is we give you the ability now to not have a logo in your store. So if I remove that logo right there, you notice it's just going to default back to the branding logo I had. It can have a different logo in my branding that's in my store. And more importantly, I can just turn it off. So if I want to have no logo in here, I can turn it off, and maybe the logo is going to be part of a banner and we just didn't want redundant logos in here, you can do that now because you can just turn it off. I'm going to go ahead and swap this out with a different logo, and let's put that big eagle logo in there. Why not? So I'm just going to go over here to upload, and we're going to grab that eagle logo, and we're going to click on open, and that's what's going to be in there now. So now you have the ability to independently change the logo that's in the store, turn it on or off. That's a new thing. Also, if I go over here and I'm in my main navigation for my store, I do have the ability to change my font. So if I want to use a completely different font in here, I can do that. It looks like the font that was used kind of as the default was this previous font here, and I can just go and use a different font. Montera site, that's kind of a cool font. And so let's save that. And then let's do that for both headings and body text. So yeah, it's a nice font. Love it. All right, so we got a nice new modern font, and let's change all our color scheme. So I'm going to go over here to my color scheme, and one of the things you're going to notice is the colors from those logos I uploaded, they're going to come into logo colors. So we're extracting that from the branding logos that you put up. We're going to use that for our main background color right there. Button and accent color, let's try it with gold. Might be a little intense, so we might go back and change that. And then we're going to use the blue for our background color. You can always go back and change that. Here's your background color. We're probably going to want to change that to white. That's content block. I'll show you how to switch that over in a second. And we're just going to update all these components. So over here, edit. Let's change that to that blue. Edit right here. I'm not even going to use that banner. And this is actually a graphic, so let's just remove it. And then we could go over here and we want to change the color. We can do that. We don't even need that component, so I'm going to remove it. And background color here, I'm kind of a fan of white on white. I'm going to go over here, and instead of having that blue background, I'm just going to make it white so the products will pop a little bit. So we're going to do that. Over here, looking good with the gold. Yeah, I do like the gold. And then over here, this is a content block. Think of the content block almost like a word processor. Is probably the best way to think of it, where you can just type this verbiage in here, but it also supports custom HTML. We're going to get into that a little bit later. So what I'm going to do is actually going to change this text color to kind of a gray, and then we're going to change this text color right here to a white, and then there you go. So we got that done. We got a fundraiser in here, so let's move it. So I'm going to take that fundraiser, which is at the bottom, and I'm going to slide it right up here under the banner. So now it's under the banner, and I'm going to change the color of that fundraiser banner. So we're going to change that, change it to blue, I think. Yeah, it looks great. So this thing's really coming together. And then we need to get rid of this banner. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on edit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this banner, and I have a couple new banners I want to add. And I'm going to add these in a slideshow. So I'm going to change this to a 4-second rotational interval. Animation type, I'm just going to do a slide, so it slides back and forth. And I'm going to upload my first banner, which is just going to be a generic banner for the store, which is going to be this one right here. That's my first banner in the rotation right there. And then we're going to add a secondary one. And in this case, it's going to be a senior banner. And I just went and created this in my graphics program. I'm a big CorelDRAW user, so I did it in Corel, but you could do it in Illustrator or Canva or wherever your program of choice is. This little banner button right here, I could go and replace this with a different banner if I wanted to, or just get rid of it altogether. It's kind of my call, and don't feel like I really need it, so I'm just going to get rid of it. So I could replace that with a different little, that banner was just a little rectangle is all it was. But here we go. We've got our basic rudiments of our store, and I am going to go in here and make this gold. So let's go over here, make it gold. Yeah, that looks great. So then we can just change all the text in here, but it's all placeholder text. So we have the framework of our store. Let's go over here to the edit button here. And I think that should be the blue, and we'll change the copy over here, and we could start going crazy adding components. Get your orders in by February 15th. So we want to hit save and publish, and we have our store. So we have one problem. We don't have any products in here. This is where InkSoft really shines. Being able to create this curated catalog of products that we populate into the store is pretty simple. And the way we're going to do that is I'll add one product manually, and then we'll go in and we'll add a product using kind of a bulk feature. But what I'm going to do is I've got this saved. So hit the save button. So I've got it saved. I'm going to go back to my main InkSoft navigation, and I'm going to go over here to products, and I'm going to add products from my product catalog. So stay with me on this one. InkSoft's got tens of thousands of products in its catalog, and these products are being fed in from live product feeds from about 25 different vendors. And the ones that are probably most commonly known are SNS Activewear, Alpha Broder, Samar, and then companies like Augusta, Polyconcept. So it's a huge feed. And so if I had to dig through 100,000 products every time I built a store, that wouldn't be really particularly fun for me. What I've done is I've added products to my main catalog that are the products that we frequently use. If I go over here to manage products and I just say, hey, I just want to see, everything from all my products right here from all the different suppliers, and just check them all. Okay. And hit apply. These are all the products that I've added to this, what we call my product catalog. So everything that I've added to my product catalog is just going to be in here. What I want to do is I want to take products and copy them from one store to another. The product catalog in InkSoft, the way it works is the products are coming over from the main feed, but once you add it to your catalog, those products are just there for you to grab anytime you want. I want to curate that a little bit. So let's add some products to the demo account. Let's do that. So we're going to come over here where I'm going to go from new product from supplier catalog, and we're going to add some Gildan products from SNS. I'll just go to SNS, and I'll select from manufacturer, and I'll select Gildan. I'll hit apply, and then we're just going to pick some common products. This heavy cotton tee right here. I'm going to pick this soft style tee, this ultra cotton tee, this long sleeve tee right there. We can do that polo shirt, and I can put some fleece in here. This product is already in the catalog. So we've got some new products. I'm just going to put a few products in there real quick, and we're just going to say select. We've got that, and then we're going to copy these to my main catalog. So what's going to happen when I copy these over to my main catalog, what's going to occur is they're going to live in my main store by default, but I can remove them from my main store and have them just be in my product catalog. So I'm just going to hit apply. So these products are now in my main store, but I can apply these to whatever store I want. And so now if I go over to manage products, or we'll just pull them from our main store, which is blue shirt, I can copy all of these products now over to that particular store. And I can do it selectively. So I can go over here and say, hey, okay, I just want this. Let's kind of scroll through them. We'll use this Gildan dry blend here. I like this polo right here. And I want a quarter zip in there. We'll use this Gildan dry blend. So what I'm doing is I'm just copying these over from my main store to this new store. So just a few products and the ones that I use all the time. So this is how you're going to get products into that store template. And I'm just going to say assign to store. I'm going to pick my new store, which is my East Eagles 2025 store right here. And I'm just going to move these over. So why is this important? If you curate the products you most frequently use into your main store, which in this case is my blue shirt store, then it's really easy to just copy any of those products into any individual store. So maybe you work with like 50 products total, but maybe for this store, there's only going to be 5 or 6 that go in it, then just hit apply. So these are automatically going to sail into that store. So when I go to create a product in that store from that artwork I uploaded, this is going to make that part a lot easier for me. So I'm just going to go over here to stores, and we're going to do a quick little search for that store, East, go back to that store, and let's add a product. So go to store admin, and then what you're going to do is going to go to store products, and then you're going to add a product. So I'm just going to pick this ultra cotton tee right here, and I'm going to add navy blue. And then I'm going to apply a graphic. Now, here's the thing. If I put this graphic on here right now, it's going to look fantastic on the ash. right here. So it looks great. Blow it up a little bit, move it up a little higher. Looks fantastic, but it's not going to look good on navy because there's navy in the graphics. So this is where having that vector artwork upload is really key, because now I can do colorways. So if I go over here and click on view colorways and create a new colorway, all I really need to do is just take this right here, this blue right here, and I'm going to assign that to kind of a medium gray-ish. Let's see if it looks good. Yeah, it does look good. So we're going to assign that, let's see, lighter or darker? Kind of like a medium gray. I think that looks pretty good. So hit done. So that helps a little bit. And then I'm going to save this colorway. So next step, pretty straightforward. Click on the navy, click on the gray version. And now you got two different versions. And then just create the product and price it. So I'm just going to go product details next. And I'm going to charge $25 for that, but I'm going to upcharge for the bigger sizes. So we're going to go 30 and 30 over here. And then we're going to go over here. We're going to do 35 and 35. And hit done, hit finish. So these products are ready to be added to the store. Let's add another product. Let's go and add new product. Let's go over here and find a hat. And let's see, Richardson snapback looks good. And let's pull up a color that's going to look good with this kind of color scheme that I'm working on. So I'm going to go over here and just pull up charcoal and navy. So that's a good one. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this black right here. And I'm just going to add that embroidery. And true to form, looks pretty good. Now you're going to ask the question, hey, Craig, why can't I resize that embroidery to any size I want? Here's why. Because we're working in scale. If you get an embroidery digitized file and you blow it up more than maybe 5%, the embroidery threads are going to get spread out. It's going to look terrible. And if you make it smaller than maybe 5%, it's going to condense those threads. You can get breaks when you go to sew it. So when you use a DST file, it's automatically going to constrain that sizing so that you don't create a file that's not going to sew. Now, if you want to get around that, the easiest way to do it is just in your embroidery software, or if you're working with your embroidery vendor, is to simply ask them to send you a PNG file of the embroidery with the background knocked out. And that way you have complete latitude in sizing. But just bear in mind, you need to make sure that you're showing the product and you're showing the customer ultimately the correct size of the embroidery relative to the product. So right now, this embroidery is showing at its size relative to the actual real embroidery file and the scale of the hat. And I can create a colorway that maybe where the navy becomes a different color, maybe like a medium gray. So we'll come over here and do that. And I have a different colorway. So if I want to create a different colorway for a different color, I can do that. So I'm going to save it. And I am going to add a different color in here. And same thing, just go and pick the different color. So in this one, actually, I'm going to do that one there. And this one, I'm going to do that one. Create product, give it a price, $30, hit finish. We've got some products. And so now it's time to just put them in the store. So style editor, we're going to go down here. We can add two products. So let's go and manage it and just add this product. So I'm going to add that product and we're going to add that product right there. And I'm going to hit done. And actually, I'm going to have the t-shirt show first. I'm going to drag and drop it. And there you go. Could delete it. And I'll show you how we do one from scratch. So we'll remove that and go over here and just do a two place. And I'm going to change the background on this to a different color. Hit done. I'm going to go over here and make that background white. And then what I can do is just move it up. And the easiest way to move it is just drag and drop. So again, I'm going to drag it right below the fundraiser, hit done. And how's it looking? Looks great. So you notice how it's bigger because the squares on a 4-up are smaller than the squares on a 2-up. 2-up has bigger squares. We've got the designer is cooked right in there. Hit save. And there you got it. That's how you would create a store from a template. So basically kind of summarizing, copy the store over, give it its name, go into the account settings under admin, change any of the specifics to the store, contact names or any rules or notifications. Then go in and upload your art. PDF would be preferred. And then you're going to go in and add products, any individual products to the store. If you want to copy them over from another store, you can do that. But now you have a store. And you don't have to ever set up another school store the way you like it ever again, because this is a template now. So this is the template you're going to clone off of. And so let's go and localize this for another variation. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go back to my dashboard or in InkSoft Core, and I'm going to go and find that store. And I'm just going to use that store as the basis of a new template. So 2 ways to do it. I could click on the store and just go over here and say clone, but don't really need to do that. I could just go over here and hit new store and find it over here as well. So let's find it. There it is. And we'll give it a new name. We'll call it Central Cougars 2025. There you go. But this is where that bulk art replacement becomes really handy. So right here, this is the magic. Got to put an underscore in there. So right here, because watch what happens next. So when I go to clone store, I go to replace art in bulk. And I'm going to take this embroidery graphic and we're going to replace it with an embroidery graphic that's corresponding to, guess what? Central Boosters. So I have a Central Boosters embroidery file right there. And I'm going to make that navy right there. I like that royal navy. We're going to make that red. So hit upload. So every piece of art that I had that embroidery file on those hats, it's going to change. So then I'm going to go and stay in store art and we're going to swap this one out with the print file. Again, I'm going to choose a PDF and we're going to go over here and I don't think I have the same exact file, but I probably have something that's somewhat similar. We'll do this one right here. See if I got a generic one in here. I can change my thumbnail size too, so I could see bigger version. Let's see here. Let's just use this generic crust right here. That looks good. Hit open. And then we're going to replace that too as well. So I'm just going to go over here and we're going to hit replace. I don't have to keep this other art in here. I can go and delete all that. So a little housekeeping in here is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to store art and I'm going to delete all these. I don't need them because they just all pertain to East. Now, if I had those placeholders on other products, I would have wanted to swap those as well. But I do have some additional art I want to upload in here. And so I'm going to go over here, upload that, upload that, upload that, that. So we're going to upload all these additional central. So I use the bulk art replacement to do that quickie swap. But if you look at it in the context of like a corporate store, you know, you might just have the same embroidered logo on a whole bunch of products and maybe just the corporate logo on a whole bunch of products. You can swap all those product art out in 2 clicks. And you can always come back here and swap art. It doesn't have to happen during the setup process. You can always go back into your art and do a swap. You can always go into that store, go to your art, do a swap anytime you want. Let's go ahead and hit done. So now you got all this great art curated for the store. How cool is that? And let's go back to our products. And we have these 2 products, but let's add another one. So let's go to new products. Create product. Next product details. I'm thinking $40. Long sleeve tee, nice shirt. Upcharge for the big ones. More fabric, higher costs. So we got some products in there. And let's go back to the store admin area where we can update the contact person. So we're going to put that in there. Go to store branding. Same thing, replace. So we're going to go over here to my store art files and replace that banner logo right there. And replace the store icon right there. Replace the preview image right there. Save and publish. I'm not going to drop a designer into this store, so we're going to leave that disabled. And let's get it all tweaked. So I'm just going to head back to Style Editor. And in this one, it's great because the color scheme is going to work perfect. So let's go and edit this right here. And let's remove that. And I'm just going to upload that banner logo in here. Should look pretty good. Yeah, it looks great. This blue scheme looks great. Let's go over here and remove this slide. I'm just going to go and add a new one. And it's going to be that one right there. And I'm going to remove the secondary banner. I think, is there 2 banners in here? Yep, remove that one. And I don't have a slide interval, so I'm just going to change that to 0 because I only have 1 banner. There we go. Save and publish. Looks good. I can reset the fundraiser now. If I come in here and manage like the end date and change the fundraiser or countdown. This happens to be a countdown banner, but I could set it up as a fundraiser. Products already have the correct new art on them. We're going to go over here to edit, and we're going to make that right there. I think I'm just going to sell out and go with white. Done. Change the copy. See how fast that is? It's crazy. Now we could do some fun stuff with the colors. So I go over here and maybe make that red. And it's pulling in the colors from the logos again. Why not? Let's make this red too. Give it a little bit of contrast. So now we got our store done. And then again, we can go in and add components. And the main thing I want to do here is I want to go and show you how we can go in and update these products. And so we might not have the right product colors in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to store admin and I'm going to go to products and we're going to make some edits. In the hat, we can do it because we had navy was a core color in that Richardson 112 hat, but I'm not happy with the colors here in this one. We need to do a colorway. And so I'm going to go into that product. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here and under pricing and styles and say edit design and styles. So look familiar? We're right back there all over again. I'm going to center that up a little bit. I'm going to go and do a colorway on that. So I'm going to create a new colorway and take that navy and make that gray again. Save colorways. Hit apply. Just always want to make sure save and publish. Back to the style editor. Probably only have 2 products showing in there. So let's get rid of those and add a 3 product component. Again, I kind of like the white background. Go over here and manage products. And they're just sitting right in here. Put the hat in the middle, I think. There we go. Little drag and drop, hit done. And then we'll move this up in the object order. That's it. That's how you're building stores. So, one of the things that I think is exceptional about InkSoft is the ability to rapidly deploy these stores. And one of the challenges that, people have that if you've been using a generic platform, you're not getting a product feed from all these suppliers. So the photography and the pricing and the inventory and the colors that are available and the sizing, all that product information, that's not being populated into your Shopify store. You're having to make those mock-ups in an external program. So a lot of the platforms will have templates, but are they really designed for kind of what we do? And then that InkSoft Designer, if you want to give that customer that design experience, you can allow them to do that. And so now what you have is you have 3 different ways to make stores in InkSoft. You have the ability to go in and make a store from scratch using the new store wizard, the ability to clone a store, and now most importantly, the ability to start with a store template, get that template localized exactly the way you want it, save it, and then use that store as your custom template. And so you can just spin off all you want. Now, last thing I want to end on, just a new store performance dashboard. So every store has a store performance dashboard. There's not much going on in this store performance dashboard because we haven't processed anything. But what we can do is allow a customer access. So if I go down and pick, go and have a customer that's assigned to this store and have Mary as like the store person, I can let Mary come in here and actually, look at what's going on within her store for her group. We can do that. Her view is going to be a little bit different. It's just going to look like this, and it's not going to show any of the data that we don't want her to see, like about costing, things of that nature. So it's going to insulate Mary from any sensitive data that we don't want an end user to see. But you can assign and add access to her, and those have to be people that are set up for that store. So you'd have to go into InkSoft and add a user and assign that user to the store. in order for them to show up in here. So we don't have any users in here, but basically you go to marketing, you go to user accounts, and this is where you would add a new user. And then when you add that user, you just want to make sure they're assigned to that particular store. That way they'll show up in there. So that's one thing. And then the very last thing I want to show you is right here under store components. We made a pretty significant change to the CTAs. And now you have a third CTA that has an actual photo spot. So if you want to add a photo in here in this spot, you can absolutely do that. I think I set up a new photo for this store. Let's see if I've got one right here. Yep. Just going to add a photo. So that is how you use new store templates. So thank you again for attending InkSoft Academy, and we'll see you on the next one.